Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again into Management Consulting Journal. In today's video, we're going to do a market sizing example, which is also an important part of your case interviews. And today's question that we're going to explore is, how much money does Walmart make per day? So let's get started. You just want to ask the interviewer some clarifying questions. So you want to ask, do you mean Walmart worldwide or just Walmart in the USA? And the interviewer will tell you, okay, I just mean the USA. And the second clarifying question you might have is, are you just talking about the Walmart stores, or are you also talking about Walmart online sales as well as Sam Club and some of the other avenues that they might have? And the interviewer just tell you, well, in this case, let's just assume that just the Walmart stores in the USA. Okay, well that clarifies things a lot, so let's just get started into how we're going to approach this question in 4 steps. The first step is just to see if it's a supply side problem or a demand side problem. And what this means is that if supply is less than demand, then it's a supply side problem. If the demand is less than supply, then it's a demand side problem. So if we put it into the context of this case, it would be a supply side problem if Walmart is selling out of everything in their store every single day, and the more they ship into their store is going to determine how much money they make. So the more they can ship into the store, the more money they're going to make because they're going to sell out of everything. If it's demand side problem, what this is saying is that, well, Walmart is not selling out every day. It's more like the customers, there's a set of customers, and they have a certain demand for these items, and that is going to determine how much money Walmart is going to make per day. So you're just going to ask the interviewer something along the lines of, is Walmart selling out of all their inventory per day? And the interviewer is going to answer no, so then you know that in this case it's a demand side problem, not a supply side. So it's a demand side problem. Knowing that it's a demand side problem, we can now find our equation. And to find our equation, what we want to do is just break down this big problem into its components. And knowing that it's a demand side problem, then we're gonna do it from the customer perspective. So this would be number of stores that Walmart has, times the average number of customers per day, times average order size. So because it's a demand side problem, we want to know how many customers they're getting per day and how much are these customers ordering per day, times the number of stores, which will tell me how much revenue Walmart makes. So when you are finding the equation, make sure it's MECE, which means mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. So you're covering all the parts, and when all the parts are multiplied or added together, it's going to give you the answer to the question that you're trying to solve, which is how much money Walmart makes per day. And after you have your equation, what you want to do is find out how much each of these components actually is. So for example, let's just do this one, the number of stores. You might say something like, well, in my small town of 300,000, there was one Walmart store, and I'm just going to assume that the same ratio holds for the U.S. population. And since there's 300 million people in the U.S., so then I'm going to say that there's roughly 1,000 stores in the U.S. in general. And this seems like a pretty good estimate. And for the number of customers per day, we can say something like, well, I'm going to estimate that there's probably one customer coming in every 10 seconds. One customer every 10 seconds, which just tells us there's 360 customers per hour. And From my experiences, Walmart is usually open pretty late, so I'm guessing that their opening hours is probably around 12 hours per day. Is that right? And the interviewer will respond, yeah, that sounds like a fair estimate. So you can say that, if Walmart's open for 12 hours per day, well, the average number of customers is just 360 times 12, which gives us approximately 4,000. We're just going to round this to 4,000 customers per day per store. And next, we're going to just ask, do average order size. We can do this in two ways. We can say, one way is, in some cases, the interviewer is just going to give you the number. In other cases, we can say, well, some customers come in and they just buy like one item worth $5 to $10, and there's all other customers who are coming in and they are buying $100 to $200 worth. So I'm just going to guess the average order size would be somewhere in the middle, around $50. Do you think that's a fair estimate? And the interviewer just respond and say, yeah, that sounds about right. So we're just going to estimate that the average order size is about 500. So once we have our numbers for our equation, what we want to move on is to the third step. And the third step is just to compute numbers. And what we want to do in this step is just because our equation is to multiply these three elements together, and that's what we want to do in compute numbers. So we just want to say that, okay, we have 1,000 stores times 4,000 customers per day per store times the average order size of 50. So then that just gives us so that is, I'm just computing it right now, $200,000 per day. And then we move on to our fourth step, which is just a sanity check. Does this make sense to you? Does this sound right? And yeah, in this case, it does sound right because Walmart's a global company, the biggest retailer on this planet, and for them to do 200 million per day does sound pretty reasonable.